one of the hidden arts of what we do as content creators for our products and services online right now is stories. Personal, powerful signature stories. But the challenge is most people don't tell enough stories. I mean, I've been blessed enough to bring hundreds of people through my different programs over the last few years. And what I've learned is that most people, they teach you to put out content. They teach you, just go run the ads, or just go, do these videos and go live. And they tell you to put out all of this content. And we know video content is big, but they don't tell you specifically how to engage people. And one of the most powerful forms of engaging people is being able to tell really good stories. Really good stories. And a good story is not just about what you went through, but is how you tell the story. And most people don't know how to tell stories. They'll say, how they went through the trauma, or how they went through this thing with this person, or they went through this accident, or they struggled with their business, and they'll tell you all of the things that they went through, but that don't make it a good story, right? Just because you're telling me a story don't mean it's a good story. Right? Just because you're telling me the pain and everything you went through and how you felt don't actually make it a good story. What makes it a good story is how you structure it. What makes it a good story is how you say it. What makes it a good story is how you imagine it to be. So what we're going to do is we're going to do something fun where I'm going to share with you what's Disney's strategy on how they tell good stories. They have a framework on best ways to tell stories, and I'm going to share with you what that is. So I'm really excited for you to be able to learn that. And by the way, we heard people was good. Welcome to another Recharging Your Business session. We do this live every single day around noon, and I'm excited about it because this is going to be a session that you're going to be able to take with you for the rest of your life. This is a training that you're going to be able to apply to everything. Stories is never going to go away. Stories been here at the beginning of time, and stories are going to be here for the rest of your lifetime in eternity. People are always going to be telling stories because we're always going through experiences. So stories are always going to be here, and you're always going to be telling stories. Now, if you want to be a good storyteller, and if you're in business, it's probably a good idea to be a good storyteller. So we're going to talk about what are some ways, what are some strategies, or what's a framework. Now, people got a ton of frameworks, but we're going to follow Disney's framework and how to tell good stories so you can start implementing this in your videos and especially in your ads. If you can do this great in your ads, do you understand that you will get more people to convert? You will get more people to be interested. You will get more people to click. You will get more people to pay attention to you even more because it's like, damn, this makes a lot of sense. And if you can tell a story that engages and it also makes sense to the principle that you're trying to convey, they're going to be more willing to take the action that you want to give. So we all love good stories. I love good stories too. But you got to be able to utilize it effectively and follow a format. Or when you tell stories, or you just telling stories. That used to be me. I used to tell stories. I didn't think I was never really that good at it before, right? And we always improving. Listen, I ain't saying I'm the best in the world, right? But I have frameworks that I follow now that allows me to tell better stories than I told 5-10 years ago. And it's understanding frameworks like this that's going to help you to take it to the next level. Right? I used to have a challenge, and you might be like me, where you like to run your mouth, right? Like I like to talk. Right. And especially if it's something that I know about and I can help and give game and give guidance to other people, like I can talk all day. And there's a lot of folks that you might be one of those people that, you're a conversationalist, you know how to hold the conversation, you know how to, tell experiences that you went through. But a lot of times it's a gift and a curse, right? Anybody ever told you got the gift of gab, or I love talking to you, or you just kind of see people gravitating towards you? Well, that could be a gift and a curse for us. Why? Because it's a gift or a talent, we tend to just do it naturally without any thought or any intention behind it. But if you start putting more thought and intention behind your talent, there's no different than LeBron James or Kobe or Jordan, who have talent, or Serena Williams, who have talent, but they don't just rely on their talent to get the job done. They hone their talent. They get better at their talent. They figure out the details and they learn the nuances and how to use their talent. Their talent is just the foundation, but they need to enhance the talent. The talent will only get you to a certain level. On top of that, you got to really be focused on growth and development in your areas to be great. And that's why, although Kobe was talented at basketball, that's why he was one of the hardest working, if not the hardest working basketball player to ever face the earth. Right? I mean, there's been stories of LeBron, Chris Paul, or, there's stories where all of these guys went out to the Olympics and they would, and on mornings where they didn't have a game or practices, all of these guys would be going out to bars, to party, and there's nothing wrong with that, obviously, right? But they will be going out just to have a good time, like, oh shit, we ain't got no practice this morning, oh, right? And they out and they clubbing and they partying. What Kobe's doing? Kobe is asleep. What Kobe doing? They coming in at 5 a.m. What Kobe doing? Kobe's going down to the gym at 5 a.m. to start practicing, right? Now, what I'm saying is you got somebody who, and when they come together for the Olympics, I'm sure, because everybody's on different teams, I'm sure they don't get a chance to do that every weekend, right? So it's like when you get a chance to just hang around your people and just chill, because this is a very rare occasion, and you don't even do that because your level of vision, your level of hunger is so obsessive that every single day you practicing and you getting better, that that shows you a level of commitment that Kobe had. But I mentioned all that to say he didn't just rely on his talent to be great. He could have still made it into the Hall of Fame, I'm sure, just relying on talent, but he got better at this. So that's what I'm saying, is that even if you've been telling stories, which we all have, and even if you got the gift of gab, you got to get better at this skill. All right, that makes sense? All right, so let's look at the framework. So I'm gonna walk you through what the framework is first, and then once you get that framework, I'm going to tell a story and I'm gonna share with you how to make it all come together. Okay. All right. So the first thing, right, and this is part of the Disney's framework. They start with once upon a time. It's number one. Once upon a time. Usually that sets the scene. Usually that sets the mood. Usually that sets the location. Usually that just puts you in the scene. So you basically got to paint the picture of what happens. Now, when you tell a story, you don't necessarily have to start with once upon a time. It's not always going to be relevant, but I want you to think about the once upon a time as, okay, what is this time? What is this setting? What is this location? Where are we at? You got to set the scene. What is the scene? That's how I think about it. Like, what is the scene that I'm painting for people right now? And like I said, we're going to put this all together. So you want to be able to paint that. It might be, when I first started my business, it might be, I remember waking up in a hospital. It could be, I'm in the basement of my parents' house trying to figure out how to put together this computer. It could be, I'm in, so me and my spouse were having a heated argument about, you feel like you got to put people in the scene. What's the scene? Where does the scene start? So that's number one. Number two is every day. So every day, this is before we even get to, like the turning point, right? So before you even get to the turning point, like this is like building up to that. So I would say something like, every day, and this is where you really talk about the problems and the challenges, right? What makes a good story is that there's some type of challenge or struggle or problem you're going through. And you might say, if it's trauma, every day I would get into fights, with my significant other. You would say, every day I was putting out content online and nobody wasn't clicking. Every day I was trying to attract people and help, but I wasn't getting any leads. Every day, I would try to, I would go to the gym and I'm going for months and months and months and I'm still not seeing any results. You feel what I'm saying? Every day I would try to just make it another hour because I kept having to deal with this trauma or this stress. Or every day I would just get triggered by something because of my past, right? It's like, what's the challenge? When you throw the every day in front of it, what's going to happen is it gives it more impact. Right? So you want to be able to use that and say every day and then tell people what's the challenge, what's the struggle. Okay. All right. Now this is the turning point. That's the second thing. Number 3, this is the turning point. Now we're going to say one day. One day. This is this Disney story framework. Shout out to Disney. One day Now, now you've been going through all of these challenges and problems. Now let's focus on, okay, well, what's the turning point? When did things change? When did things change for you, right? If you're blessed enough to be telling a story, and the purpose of you telling a story is that something changed for you, got a better result, right? Like I have a lot of people that come to me who have experience, expertise, or education in a certain area. And part of what inspires people is this story of transformation. Well, in order for something to be transformed, you have to be in one state or one situation. Something happened, and now you're in a better situation. All right. So I want to know what happened. Like how did that change? So it can be one day he put his hands on me and enough was enough, and I left. One day, I ran into this coach and they gave me a different perspective, and I always thought that, but they changed my mind on that, and that started me on a path to that. One day I just got, just so tired that, of lacking consistency with going into the gym. I said, the hell with it. I'm just going to start working out of my house. One day I was, I got so tired of, beating myself up, and this happened. You feel what I'm saying? It's like a moment. It's basically like a moment of clarity. It's like what's the turning point? This is the point where it's the climax, right? This is the point where now something shifts and something different happens. Okay. So, so you want to add the one day to it. That's the turning point. Then we have number 4. Number 4 is because of that. Meaning, so since that turning point happened, now what's the result? Just because you met a coach doesn't mean you got any different results, right? So now let's talk about, okay, what happened because of that? So we talk in business. Oh, because of that, I met this business coach. And they started working with me, and they was showing me specifically how to put out social media content. So, and you don't even have to say because of that, but you realize that that's the reason, right? And you can't say because of that in this case. So you can say, well, because I was working with them, they actually started showing me how to actually create engaging posts more consistently. So I started getting more people who are interested, more people who are clicking on my, let's say, my YouTube videos. And because that started working, and this is the second one after that. Then you say because of that. So you got to first because of that, and then you have another because of that. And then you'll say, well, because of that, I started getting more views, but because of that, I actually started getting more people who are clicking on the link in my description, and I started getting leads. Feel what I'm saying? So there's 2 because of that's there, right? So it's like, it's basically like, okay, well, what happened? And then what happened because that happened? And that's very powerful because people always want to know, okay, they want to always see what the next steps are, what's going to happen. Well, once you do that, then what? Then once you do that, then what? So people always want to be able to anticipate what's coming. So why don't you just say what happened? And I'm going to tell you what people are doing psychologically as you're going through this, right? So psychologically, number 1, what's happening is people they're focused on your story. When they're focused on the story, they're not focused on their problems, their challenges. They're focused on solutions. They're focused on what can I take away from this story? When you tell them that what you've been struggling with every day, you're really walking them through, oh, wow, yo, this is what I'm going through. This is why it's important to understand who your target audience is, who your niche is, what your avatar is. That's why this is important, because you want the problems and the challenges that you're talking about to resonate with this audience. You feel what I'm saying? Like, you don't want general. You don't want to be a generalist when it comes to this. You want to have an audience. If I'm talking, and I used to go through this, I used to talk to all types of business owners about every problem under the sun because I read a bunch of books about it, helped a couple of people, and I'm like, I'm gonna help everybody with everything. And I found it very hard to grow and build and to get results. But once I landed, I said, yo, I want to work with thought leaders. I want to work with experts. I want to work with coaches. I want to work with speakers. I want to work with people who have online businesses, because I was working with brick and mortars. I was working with all types of people, and I was all over the place, and I was giving them little results, and they was getting a couple things here and there, but I didn't really start getting people who was making $10,000 a month, $2,500 they first week working with me. We had Tina, she's working with me for 10 months. She had damn near $30,000 a month. People who were getting 1,000% ROI with us, their first week. We had Akil who made 10 grand with us the second month he started working with us. I got a text earlier this year from one of our clients who, after working together for less than in a 3-month time span, he made 20 grand. You feel what I'm saying? I was never getting results like that. That's because I was helping everybody with everything.